Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
New at 6, a San Antonio doctor who admitted he performed an abortion, defying a new state law, now being sued by two people looking to challenge that new law's legality on the near total ban on that procedure. Two former attorneys, one in Illinois, one in Arkansas, filing lawsuits against San Antonio Dr. Alan Braid. Over the weekend, Braid became the first doctor to publicly acknowledge that he violated the new Texas law in an op-ed in the Washington Post.
Now, by law, that restriction can only be enforced through private lawsuits. Oscar Stilley, who described himself as a former lawyer who lost his law license after being convicted of tax fraud in 2010, says he isn't against abortion, but he wants to force a court review, which he called an end run. He went on to say he doesn't want doctors to be afraid of performing abortions because they might end up bankrupt.
We are very concerned that Haitians who are taking this irregular migration path are receiving false information that the border is open or that temporary protected status is available. I want to make sure that it is known that this is not the way to come to the United States. That is false information.
The border is not open. That is the message Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas delivering there today in Del Rio.
He traveled to the border city where thousands of refugees, most of them Haitian, are still camped under a bridge. Tiffany Huertas has the latest on this developing story and what concerns are under that international bridge and beyond.
We are in the midst of a pandemic and a critical migration challenge.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says they are taking steps to address this issue. He says U.S. Customs and Border Patrol has sent 600 additional agents to Del Rio.
Border Patrol is coordinating with ICE and the U.S. Coast Guard to move individuals from Del Rio to other processing locations, including approximately 3,500 over the last few days and 3,000 today.
DHS is also trying to ramp up deportation flights to Haiti and other destinations.
We anticipate at least 1 to 3 flights per day.
Some Haitian migrants say the earthquake in Haiti and the assassination of their president were some of the reasons for their journey to the U.S. Mayorkas says they are concerned that Haitians are receiving false information about the border being open.
Irregular migration poses a serious security risk to the migrants themselves. Trying to enter the United States illegally is not worth the tragedy, the money, or the effort.
Mayorkas says they have medical personnel and several groups helping in Del Rio.
We have brought in personnel from the Department of Health and Human Services to address medical needs and supplies. We've also worked with the American Red Cross to bring in supplies and much-needed resources to the population. We have worked with the World Central Kitchen to bring in meals for the migrants.
Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
And lending a hand in the relief efforts have been the Salvation Army and Catholic Charities, having already had experience helping immigrants from Mexico and Central America. Jesse Degollado tells us Del Rio's faith-based community also has been doing whatever it can to help the arrivals from Haiti.
It's been an eye-opener for me.
For the president of the Val Verde Border Humanitarian Coalition, this was a first.
It looked like a third world country, maybe even a fourth world country if there is one.
Thousands of Haitian men, women, and children waiting for a chance at getting asylum, far from the political chaos and the earthquake devastation they left behind.
There's a lot of people that just need a welcome.
Even if it's in the form of pallets and pallets of water, juice, or Gatorade, as well as sandwiches made by faith-based volunteers for the Haitian arrivals, U.S. Border Patrol, and DPS troopers. These Del Rio pastors say for now they could use San Antonio's help. The Val Verde Border Humanitarian Coalition's website has where to donate monetary contributions and an Amazon wish list for food, drinks, baby food, diapers, and other items they could use. Unless otherwise specified, what they don't need.
We don't have the space for clothing, so we're trying to avoid clothing at all costs.
Whatever political divide exists, they say compassion for others can go a long way in filling in the gap.
Whether we are on opposite sides of a political spectrum shouldn't determine the way that we respond to one another when someone is in need.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
A bomb scare at Joint Base San Antonio Lackland causing a lockdown at one of the main gates and a portion of West Military Drive to be shut down around midday today. Base Public Affairs says 2 people showed up at the Luke East gate claiming to have an explosive device in their car. That proved not to be the case. Garrett Berger talked with eyewitnesses who saw all of this unfold today. So Garrett, is everything back to normal now?
Absolutely, Myra. Right over here at the Luke East Gate, you can see traffic flowing again. Same with Military Drive, which abuts it. Now, originally, all the gates were closed down, then just Luke East Gate after the base realized it was only happening here. Now, what was happening? Well, this video from a crew of movers trying to get into the gate shows it. You can see a car in what appears to be the closed-off outgoing lanes of the gate of this particular gate. Now, one man has his arms raised. Another on the far side of the car can be seen lying on the ground, and you can hear security forces personnel shouting instructions. John Martinez was on the other side of the gate trying to leave the base when he came across the scene.
We were told by the military police to exit our vehicle and to get a safe distance away. At that time, that's when I saw the MPs proceed forward with guns drawn, trying to detain one person that was already laying on the ground.
Martinez and others were pushed back, he said, but he was still able to get this video of the 2 men being led away in cuffs. He said he also saw 2 members of JBSA Lackland's EOD team approach. Now, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office says one of the men had an active drug warrant and that the suspects would be facing additional charges. However, JBSA Lackland has taken over the investigation, and we have not yet received details from them on the identity of these suspects or what charges they might possibly face. Live at JBSA Lackland, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Garrett. We have new information in connection with a weekend shooting at a motel. We now know the name of the woman shot and killed after police say she tried to break up a fight. The Bexar County Medical Examiner says 28-year-old Tiffany Molina shot early Saturday morning in the parking lot of the Motel 6 in the 6800 block of West Highway 90. It's on the city's west side. According to police, Molina was with a group of people who had gotten into an argument. We're told Molina tried to break it up, and a woman walked away from the group and called someone on her phone. Moments later, officers say a pickup pulled up and someone inside pulled a gun and started shooting in Molina's direction, hitting her in the chest. Witnesses told officers the woman who made that phone call got in the truck and then they sped away. Police are still searching for those suspects tonight.
News around Texas now. A Houston police officer is dead and another wounded after they were shot while trying to execute an arrest warrant in Houston this morning. According to Mayor Sylvester Turner, both officers were shot several times at an apartment complex on the northeast side of the city. Officer William Jeffrey died at a hospital, and Sergeant Charles Vance listed in stable condition. Investigators say the man the officers were trying to arrest was also killed in an exchange of gunfire. Authorities have not yet identified that man or said why he was wanted.
He was living in San Antonio. The man who saved hundreds of people during the Rwandan genocide and inspired the movie Hotel Rwanda, Don Cheadle starred in it, has been convicted on a terrorist charge and sentenced to prison in Rwanda. Many say he was set up. That conviction and sentence coming today against Paul Rusesabagina. Some family members are thought to be still in San Antonio. You may remember the stories we've done on how he was taken back to Rwanda against his will, how Rwandan authorities may have been spying on a St. Mary's University class planning to help Rusesabagina. Rusesabagina boycotted his trial, saying he didn't expect to be treated fairly in what he called a sham. He's been a vocal critic of the current president of Rwanda.
Early voting now underway in the special election to fill the state representative seat for District 118. That job now vacant after former Representative Leo Pacheco resigned last month. 5 people, 2 Republicans and 3 Democrats are on the ballot. On the Republican side, it's John Lujan, who had the job briefly in 2015 and 2016, and Adam Sawyer, who lost to Pacheco in November.
The Democrats are Katie Farias, a school board trustee at Southside ISD, trial attorney Desi Martinez, and Frank Ramirez, who's a former planning director for the city of San Antonio. Early voting runs through Friday. You can find the sample ballot and polling locations on KSAT.com. The election next Tuesday, September 28th.
Take a look outside with live cam this evening. We did it again. And if anyone was outside, no real surprise that we hit 100 today.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we felt it out there today. And actually, it tied a record high for the day today. Officially 100 degrees in San Antonio, ties the record set back in 1947. And you look at highs elsewhere across our area, and many locations at or above 100 degrees. Even if you didn't hit 100, you're close to it. Kerrville, for example, 98 the high temperature. Gonzales, 99. New Braunfels, 99 the high. But Pleasanton up to 102. 106 the high in Cotulla and Del Rio. Del Rio, that's a new record by 4 degrees. You look at the readings right now, not much of a difference. 105 Del Rio, 98 here in San Antonio. Hondo's 98, Kennedy 97, and, well, we're still well into the 90s for most of us. We're going to talk about the noticeable changes that are just around the corner. By this time tomorrow, a cold front's moving through. I'll let you know what big changes to expect coming up.
Some major projects are close to completion, while others are just getting started. TXDOT updating local leaders during an event this afternoon.
Yeah, Samuel King joins us now. Samuel, billions are being spent to improve mobility in the region.
Yeah, a whole lot of money, Steve and Myra. $2.8 billion worth of projects, to be exact, are currently under construction. A total of $7 billion worth is planned.
San Antonio Mayor Ron Nierenberg and Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf among those in the crowd to hear an update from TXDOT on what it's accomplished so far this year and what it has planned.
Growth in San Antonio.
Texas Transportation Commission Chairman Bruce Bugg gave the statewide picture, while new district engineer Gina Gallegos focused on the San Antonio region.
We have right now $287 million of transportation improvements delivered in 2021.
That includes projects like Phase 1 of 281 North between Loop 1604 and Stone Oak Parkway, which is now considered substantially complete. Now TXDOT's focused on other projects like the massive Loop 1604 expansion on the north side and the upcoming I-35 project on the northeast side.
These projects are necessary just because of the growth that we are having in San Antonio. Many areas in San Antonio are just growing exponentially, and we need to do what we can to assist all of these motorists and just the citizens of San Antonio.
The San Antonio Mobility Coalition hosts the annual State of the District event. Coalition President Victor Boyer says TXDOT is spending 5 times the amount in the San Antonio region than it did just 5 years ago, from $650 million in 2016 to more than $2 billion this year.
I think we can show a really great return on investment in terms of the billions that are being invested in our community at this time. Having said that, we still have many unfunded projects, and we need to continue the effort to find the funding to move forward on all these multimodal projects.
And some of those include the Loop 1604 project east of Highway 281, the I-35 project that's planned north of FM 3009, and the I-10 project near Seguin in Guadalupe County. Some funding gaps for those, and we'll see what happens in the future. As for traffic this evening, this is Loop 1604. Watching some slowdowns right here, and there also is going to be some road work overnight that begins tonight. We'll have more on that in the next half hour, but you can already see a slowdown there. Also been watching this over the past hour, Highway 90 westbound at Pew Road approaching Loop 1604. There was a major crash there earlier, and that caused some slowdowns. 25 minutes between 35 and 1604 heading westbound, only 11 minutes eastbound, so you can see the contrast there. Hopefully that does improve soon. Also a crash here. This is Loop 410 on the southwest side at Old Pearsall. You're seeing a major slowdown there as well. So let's take a look at that. Travel time, 13 minutes from Palo Alto to Ray Ellison, 18 minutes the other way. So major traffic issues this evening if people are heading out and about, guys.
Not an ideal way to start a Monday.
No, not really.
Yeah.
You know what else? Realizing you haven't paid up on a bet.
Oh, yeah.
That's another way. You don't really want to start a Monday. But since we hit 100 today, reminded me, I have not paid you your soda from the first time.
Or as Casky would say, a pop.
Yeah,
a pop.
I heard pop. That's all I heard.
I'm good for it.
I know.
Well,
It's on the way.
I know where you are.
but on the way, let's talk about the cold front that's on the way. Let's do that.
Yes, please.
Much anticipated cold front. And this isn't the type of front that you're going to be bundling up Wednesday morning. No, it's not like that. But this is going to have a big impact on our conditions. So it's going to arrive tomorrow afternoon and evening. A few storms likely along it. The main changes will be lower humidity and cooler mornings for the remainder of the week, Wednesday, all the way into the upcoming weekend. Those will be the primary changes. Morning temperatures will go from the 70s today and tomorrow morning down into the 50s by the time we get to Thursday and Friday morning. So for early risers and people who like to get outside, exercise early outdoors, you're going to notice those changes, especially by Thursday morning. So let's chat about it, starting with temperatures. We talked about our highs today, and our current readings pretty close to the highs, just a few degrees lower now. We're starting to gradually cool off. Kerrville's 97, Rock Springs 93. Uvalde 99, Gonzales, New Braunfels 97. You look farther to the north, and this is what stands out. You look at Amarillo, 84 degrees. Guyman, Oklahoma at 80. Then the temperatures continue to fall off. That's where the cold front is right now. It's just slowly taking its time, pushing southward, and will make it here within the next 24 hours, probably closer to about 22 hours from now, if you want to be exact. Regardless of that, notice the air behind it, behind the cool front, that pool of cooler air. Right now, readings mostly in the 60s. As you look up and down the plains from North Dakota all the way down into even Denver and eastern Colorado. High temperatures will be impacted, but it's not going to give us the fall-like high temperatures that I know some of us are looking forward to. We'll still be mid-90s tomorrow, so warm and sticky tomorrow. By Wednesday, down into the mid-80s. So we're going from 100 today down into the mid-80s by Wednesday. So that's still a pretty big impact on the temperatures. It's just putting us a little below average compared to our record tying day today. Okay, so those are high temperatures. We talked about the lows getting down into the 50s by Thursday as well. Let's talk rain chances. Right now, the activity is on the northern extent of this cold front, particularly Arkansas, Missouri, I should say, northward all the way up into northern Wisconsin, okay, in the upper Midwest. That's where most of the action is, even some severe weather along that cold front. Notice on the tail end of it here, on the south side of that front, not a lot of activity along it in Texas. I am anticipating a few showers around here. Can't rule out one or two in the hill country in the morning. Most of the day, though, pretty quiet tomorrow. 90s, humid, sticky outside, but come about 2 o'clock, that's when we're anticipating a few thunder showers to develop on the radar screen. And then we'll see some widely separated activity through the afternoon hours. Now this right here, this model shows 4 o'clock one right over San Antonio. Don't pay so close attention to the exact location of these, just the fact that it's popping a few up in general across our area tomorrow afternoon. And I wouldn't be surprised if we had 1 or 2 stronger storms develop. There's the off chance of that. So let's talk about it this evening. Warm, humid, mostly clear temperatures, mid-80s by 10 o'clock. By midnight, south-southeasterly wind at 5 to 15. Tomorrow, we start the day at 76, make it up to 95, then the front hits. You'll notice the wind pick up tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. It's going to be a little breezy and gusty around and after sunset tomorrow. And then lower humidity, nothing but sunshine the rest of the week, and more comfortable and cooler conditions.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
All right. They are on a roll, so let's go on the road.
Yeah, you're talking about UTSA, who won their first Conference USA game. They're off to a 3-0 start. Now they face their toughest test so far this season. When we come back, we'll give you a preview of what the Roadrunners are facing now on the road. And it's the SEC opener for the Fighting Texas Aggies. Coming up. UTSA Roadrunners have mirrored their start last year by going 3-0, but this year in more dominating fashion after scoring their first ever shutout in school history last Saturday against Lamar. 54-0. Roadrunners ran over Middle Tennessee 27-13 to score their first conference win of the season. Last year, they barely held off the Blue Raiders 37-35. This year, the Roadrunners defense dominated by holding Middle Tennessee scoreless until the fourth quarter. The offense, though, was disappointing at times, giving up a fumble and quarterback Frank Harris threw 2 interceptions. That has to be fixed quickly. The Roadrunners face their toughest test against undefeated Memphis on the road, with head coach Jeff Traylor taking some of the blame.
We might have had too much offense in. We probably overthought it because that coordinator's so good.
and probably had a little paralysis by analysis. And got to turn our kids loose a little bit more, let them be a little more free, cut down the number of plays we had, and eliminate mistakes. Those players are a reflection of me. So when they're making mistakes, that means the head coach didn't get them coached up good enough. And as special teams wise as well, we got to get better there. We're doing too much. And a lot of good stuff. I don't want to sound like negative Nancy. There's a lot of good stuff on offense and special teams, but we can be cleaner.
All right, kickoff in Memphis on Saturday is set for 2:30. You knew Texas was going to dominate Rice after they were embarrassed by Arkansas the week before. Who saw a 58-0 rout coming? Not me. In his first start as Longhorns quarterback, Casey Thompson threw for 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the star of this game was Bijan Robinson, the Horns running back, who rushed for over 127 yards, 3 touchdowns, including this 62-yarder in the second quarter to push UT out to a 30-0 lead. That was just a tune-up to prepare for their Big 12 opener this Saturday against a much improved Texas Tech that has averaged 40 points a game and over 440 yards of offense in their 3-0 start. That said, is Hudson Card still the backup, and is it getting harder to get him into the game?
Casey's going to go Saturday. Ideally, I would love to play Hudson Saturday as well. But every flow of every game is different. That all these games they're all worth the same technically in totality. Obviously, Big 12 play, everybody, we're 0-0 in conference play, and the goal is to come out of here Saturday 1-0. But we got to focus on the process to get to 1-0. But if Hudson, and we feel like Hudson can provide an opportunity to get him in the game, and he can provide something for our team, we'll definitely get him in there.
It will be a very early kick on Saturday at Royal Memorial Stadium, 11 a.m. live right here on KSAT 12. Like the Longhorns, the fighting Texas Aggies scored a huge shutout over New Mexico, 34-0 in Zach Calzada's debut as a new starting quarterback following the injury to Haynes King that will keep him sidelined at least until November. In his debut, Calzada threw for 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, and it was a warm-up for their SEC opener this Saturday against Arkansas and Arlington, the same Razorbacks who roughed up the Longhorns 40-21. What this will be is a classic matchup of offense versus defense, where the Razorbacks are averaging 41 points per game, while the Aggies only allowing 5.7 points per game. But the Aggies have owned Arkansas in their last 9 meetings.
Every year is a new year. So I think looking at it in the past, we beat them. That's not the mentality you want to have. The mentality is we have a job to do, and they're in the way.
The 7th-ranked Aggies will be 6-point favorites in this battle of the early unbeaten that kicks off at 2:30. It is the national game on CBS, so this is a big deal for A&M and all their fans.
Only favored by 6 points,
Only favored by 6. They play them tight usually.
Yeah, interesting. Thanks, Greg.
Our KSAT Q&A is up next.
There is so much that is going on the border right now, especially in the small town of Del Rio. I think it's a town that both of us have been to. 35,000 people there, but you're talking about 10 to 14,000 migrants that have just shown up across the Rio Grande. Lance Curtright is an immigration attorney with DeMont, McChesney, Curtright, and Armendariz. Lance, thank you for joining us. Unpack this for us legally, what we're seeing on the border right now. And have you ever seen anything like this before? Just the sheer numbers that we're talking about underneath that international bridge in Del Rio.
Well, what we're seeing in Del Rio is obviously very challenging. And I'm not sure that we've ever seen all of these people come at one time under one bridge. But certainly we have seen over the past decades influxes of migrants coming from different countries. Haiti is one of them, Central America being others. So this is not the first time we've seen that. But what's different now, I think, is how we're handling them. With the application of Title 42, we're deporting many of these individuals, some of whom want to seek asylum without even giving them a hearing at all. So that's quite different, actually.
So can you explain Title 42? Because somebody who's following along, they probably have seen that in articles or other news stories. That's a unique situation right now. What's in effect there?
So Title 42 is not an immigration law. That's important. It's a health and safety provision that basically says that the Surgeon General, the CDC, just cannot allow people in the United States in certain circumstances like a pandemic. But importantly, it's not an immigration law, which means to say it gives them no power to deport. So when they're using this law to deport individuals, they're doing so at the expense of other laws, like the right to apply for asylum for those who are in the United States. So this has been challenged legally. And just last week, a district court judge in Washington, D.C. found that the law gave DHS no power to deport these individuals, and they're misapplying it. So that is now an appeal to a circuit court.
And that's my question. I mean, is it correct to say whether what these people are doing is legal or illegal kind of open to interpretation right now? Because, I mean, it is legal to come to this country and ask for an asylum hearing.
Mm-hmm.
But Title 42 complicates that, correct?
Title 42 is the application of law that we're using for the first time ever. But what these individuals are doing by coming and presenting themselves to a border official and asking for asylum is lawful. That's what we want people to do. What we don't want people to do is to come in secretly and evade our Border Patrol agents. So this is the lawful process, but Title 42 frustrates that because it deports the individuals without having the opportunity to necessarily make that claim. So many of these individuals are coming here hoping to make their case, and maybe some of their cases are stronger than others, but that is being frustrated in contravention of our asylum laws.
With, of course, Title 42, but the other factors at play in Del Rio right now. We've seen migrant surges before. I believe the last time we talked to you here on this Q&A was during another surge. But this seems to be unique in that it happened very fast in terms of the thousands by which the number of migrants grew each day and the deportations happening extremely fast. What challenges outside of this Title 42 issue are at play right now that we may have not seen before?
Well, Secretary Mayorkas was in Del Rio today, and he mentioned that some of the Haitians may have been getting some false information about a TPS program that we have put in place in the United States. As I'm sure you're aware, there's a terrible earthquake in Haiti earlier this year, and the TPS was given to Haitians who are already in the United States, meaning you had to be here. I think the date was July 29th, 2021. And I think what Secretary Mayorkas was trying to say today is that some of these individuals were getting some bad information about whether they could qualify for TPS or not and coming to the U.S. But regardless, and I think the issue that we need to really think about as a country of laws is we have put into place this asylum process wherein we want people to come to a port of entry and make a claim, and then we'll treat them fairly. But now we're putting that aside because our circumstances have become different. We have a pandemic and it's serious. We have a lot of people at the port of entry, and that's dramatic. So the question is, do we put aside our rule of law and just say, well, that's good for when it's not a rainy day, but right now it's pouring and we just can't accept this. We're going to put aside our laws. And I think that if we just start shying away from our rule of law, then that's a very scary prospect for our future.
Talk about it. You said TPS, that's temporary protected status. It was, I want to say it was put into place by President Obama in 2010 after that massive earthquake in Haiti, that there was temporary protected status for people from Haiti coming into the United States. That has not been done this time around. Is there any type of talk that maybe that will be done in the future?
Well, I think they have done it. But if you've been here since July 29th, 2021, then you could qualify for a new TPS program based upon the new earthquake. But that would mean that these individuals had to be here already by that date and time, which they obviously have not.
Yeah, but would they? You don't see the Biden administration necessarily saying, let's give these people temporary protected status?
Right. No, because you had to be physically present in the United States on the day that happened.
Right.
Before we go here, I want to talk about the people who are allowed to stay, these migrants who are not being deported right now. We've talked to you about the backlog of asylum cases that already existed in this country. What is a realistic picture for those who are trying to seek a path to citizenship in the U.S.?
Well, I guess we can talk about asylum, which is kind of got its own problems because the system's so stretched. But just generally seeking immigration status in the United States, a lot of things are starting to work again after a long delay of COVID-19 disrupting our systems. And what we're seeing now is embassies are starting to kind of sputter along and open up for immigrant visa processing, meaning the green card applications. And we're seeing those start to work again. USCIS here locally in San Antonio has done a pretty good job of processing some of these applications. So core immigration, like family-based immigration, employment-based immigration, that's working okay. The court system is still not really up and going, mostly because they have difficulties getting all the migrants in the courtrooms because they're all too close together and we don't know vaccination status. So some things are working better than others. So I guess if I was going to say something just generally about the legal process, I know, stay tuned, have faith, check in with your attorneys, and hopefully things will start working again. And we're starting to see that start to happen already.
Lance Curtright, immigration attorney with DeMott, McChesney, Curtright, and Armendariz. Lance, always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Taking a look at some planned construction tonight. This is Loop 1604. Some of the closures we've been seeing over the past few weeks, both directions between Bandera Road and Hausman. This is overnight, pretty much over the next couple of weeks here. They're doing some road work out there. Some more lane closures, a major one's coming up later this week, and we'll have more on that. That begins Thursday evening. Take a look at that travel time there now. Improving at the moment, 24 minutes if you're heading westbound all the way from 281 to Bandera Road, 12 minutes the other direction. Of course, most of those delays between I-10 and Bandera Road. And then the rest of Loop 1604 looking fine, 15 to 16 minutes each way. Still watching this crash reported Highway 90 westbound at Pew Road. That is starting to get a little better, but we're still watching things on the southwest side on Loop 410. This is that crash we told you about earlier. Still 13 minutes from Ray Ellison to Palo Alto Road. So still some major delays there on the southwest side of Loop 410. But here's another look at 1604. Again, watch out for those closures later this evening, guys.
Thank you, Sam. Live cam outside right now, 97 degrees, triple digits, and I'm glad the traffic has kind of cleared up a little bit because I was thinking about people who are stuck out there in traffic in 100-degree temperatures. That's not a good way to start Monday.
No, it's like when you don't have air conditioning, you've got the 4 down 360 AC.
Yeah. Yes.
If you're stuck in traffic, it doesn't help you much. And when it's 100 degrees outside, it doesn't help you a whole lot either. 98 degrees right now at the airport. 8 o'clock, still lower 90s. By midnight, we'll be in the low 80s. The much anticipated cold front will be here by this time tomorrow. We're going to talk about the changes and what's going to be most noticeable about that front coming up. Yep.
Pizza. In its many shapes and forms, it has many days that's celebrated on the national calendar, but today is for the most popular pie. It is National Pepperoni Pizza Day. Legend has it that the first pizza was reportedly created in 1889 by Raphael Esposito, who was inspired by the Queen of Italy, Margherita of Savoy. That's how we got the pizza margherita, which has tomato sauce, basil, and mozzarella, the colors of the Italian flag.
But the pizza's come a long way since. It was Italian Americans who get the credit for adding pepperoni, which is a pork and beef sausage. Nowadays, just about anything can go on a pizza, but pepperoni remains the most popular, according to a poll by YouGov.com. 64% of Americans say pepperoni is their favorite pizza topping.
That makes sense to me.
Pepperoni, you going to weigh in on that, or?
I would prefer Kishka on as a topping on my pizza.
Have you ever had Kishka on a pizza?
No, but my brother and I have big plans someday. We want to open a restaurant that's Kishka-based everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is a very specific following.
Would be awesome.
Kishka and more?
Kishka, etc.
Yeah.
Etc.
Kishka and Company.
Wow, you guys are a marketing dream team.
Love it, love it, love it. Kishka. I'm out. My parents need to come back into town. Bring me some more rings from Kramarchuk's, our favorite deli up there up north. Anyway, 100 degrees, high temperature. I could make some myself, too. I just got to get my hands on the cow blood, too, which I should be able to do around here. But anyway.
And you lost me.
Yeah.
I know. Here we go again.
Like
Look what they do to me.
Specific following for the Kishka.
Okay, Del Rio, 106 the high today. That was a record by 4 degrees. In San Antonio, we tied the record of 100. And that was set back in the 1940s. All right, let's talk about the most noticeable changes with this coming cold front, the long anticipated cold front. It's going to be a moderate front, noticeable. So not some of our strongest ones where everything just completely changes drastically and immediately, but this will be noticeable, particularly in terms of a lack of humidity and morning temperatures. So our afternoons will be going from 100 today down into the 80s by Wednesday. Morning temperatures, 70s today, tomorrow, down into the 50s for morning readings by Thursday. So especially if you're an early riser, you like to get up, get going outside early, right around sunrise, get that jog in, get that bike ride in, walk the dog, you'll really notice it, especially Thursday, Friday mornings. Dew points are going to drop as well. We were in the mugginess today with dew points in the 60s. This is the time of the day where they're really at their lowest, but we felt the humidity today. That all comes to an end. Look at our dew points. By Wednesday, all the way into the upcoming weekend, we're talking dewies down in the 30s and 40s. So a lack of humidity that's actually going to last for several days. And that's going to lead to the cooler mornings. When you have that drier air and a clear sky, you get that good radiational cooling in the air. Cools off pretty efficiently. But temperatures now, anything but a cold front related. 105 in Del Rio, 98 Hondo and Uvalde, 96 Gonzales, 97 in New Braunfels. Most of the state well into the 90s, even 102 in Abilene. But you don't have to head that far to the north from Lubbock and Abilene to get on the backside of that front. I mean, we're talking 84 Amarillo now and 80 in Guyman, Oklahoma. In the core of that cooler air, temperatures this afternoon in the 60s from Denver all the way into the Dakotas. As for rain, you can see most of it along the northern stretch of that cold front, especially closer to the upper level energy, Northland area. That's where most of the rain will remain. But even around here, we'll probably see a few showers and thunderstorms kickstart tomorrow afternoon. In the morning, models showing a slight chance in the hill country. I question that. Nonetheless, the focus is the afternoon tomorrow. Around and after 2 o'clock through sunset, we'll see these widely separated showers and thunderstorms developing, and it wouldn't surprise me if one or two of them became a little bit stronger, maybe on the severe side. We'll keep an eye on that, but that's going to be the exception and not the norm. Otherwise, 76 in the morning tomorrow, 95 for the high, so still hot and sticky tomorrow. Then the gusty north wind kicks in about this time tomorrow, and that's going to push in the cooler, less humid air. We're talking 63 Wednesday morning, 57 on Thursday morning, and Friday pretty similar. Nothing but sunshine Wednesday all the way into the weekend with those highs mid 80s to near 90.
Oh, it's going to be good. Thanks, Adam.
I have some more suggestions for you and your brothers.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
I'll wait till the break, though, in case you missed it, coming up next.
Don't want to miss that. Here's today's in case you missed it.
Houston police officer has died after getting shot this morning.
Investigators say he and another officer were hurt while serving a warrant in northeast Harris County. It happened around 7:30 this morning. One of the officers was seen being unloaded from a life flight and taken into Memorial Hermann Hospital.
JBSA Lackland shut down its gates at about 11:30 after two people approached here, the Luke East Gate, claiming to have an explosive device in their vehicle.
Afternoon, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas on the ground in Del Rio, Texas, viewing the growing migrant crisis firsthand.
It is tragic to see families of vulnerable individuals who've been deceived by treacherous and exploitative smuggling organizations. It is tragic and it is heartbreaking.
This morning, the first images of the Biden administration's massive deportation effort captured flights of migrants from Del Rio, Texas, returning to Haiti. An estimated 13,000 people amassed, many from Haiti, which remains unstable after the assassination of its president and a deadly earthquake last month. Others are from Mexico, South America, and Northern Triangle countries.
Pfizer announcing its vaccine is safe and effective for children ages 5 through 11. The company says their trial data shows that when the more than 2,200 children received 1/3 of the vaccine dose given to adults, the side effects were minimal and similar to adults and older children as well. The antibody response in children was at least as strong as the full adult dose in patients aged 16 to 25.
Things improving across most of the area this evening, but still a couple of trouble spots, including one east of 281 on Loop 1604. Had a crash reported there at Bulverde Road, so you see the traffic there in the red. We've been watching the southwest side on Loop 410, and some good news here. Looks like those the crash is cleared, so that travel time has greatly improved. 6 minutes each direction between Ray Ellison and Palo Alto now. You saw a little bit earlier how much delay that was caused. Watch out for those closures later this evening on 1604. And here's a look at the north side, 281 and Loop 410. Still some sun for now, Adam.
And Sam, tomorrow's still going to be another sticky and hot day. Mid-90s the high, with a mixture of sun and clouds, some afternoon showers and thunderstorms popping up, and the wind really picking up by about this time tomorrow. And that wind is going to push in the noticeable changes from the cold front. So morning temperatures will really take a dive. That's going to be one of the biggest changes. 63 Wednesday morning, 50s Thursday and Friday around sunrise. And notice the high temperatures, mid-80s on Wednesday, and nothing but sunshine the remainder of the week, Wednesday all the way into the weekend, with the more comfortable conditions with the lack of humidity out there, and highs back near average for the most part.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for watching the news at 6.
See you back here on the Night Beat at 10.